Welcome, readers. Today on Book Chat, joining me is my buddy read co-host, Classy Green. We'll be discussing Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by The Black Cabinet by Jill Watts. It's the Mocha Girls Read National Book Club's June Book of the Month. Visit their website and join in today. Masterfully researched and dramatically told, The Black Cabinet brings to life a forgotten generation of leaders who fought for post-Reconstruction racial discrimination and whose work served as a bridge that civil rights activists traveled to achieve for the victories of the 1950s and 60s. The Black Cabinet is a dramatic, full-scale examination of a forgotten moment that speaks directly to our own. The Black Cabinet is available now in hardcover, ebook, and audiobook from your favorite bookseller. Learn more by visiting mochagirlsread.com. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Tamara Ford, and thank you for downloading this month's Buddy Read discussion featured here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. If you're new here, every week we get bookish with book discussions, book review shelf bites, and more. If you are wondering what is a buddy read, this is a feature where Classy and I select a thriller or mystery title that we both are interested in. Then we have a candid discussion about that book or audiobook. We even discuss it in our Facebook group Shelf Addiction Official during a live chat. So grab a glass of wine, a cocktail, a cup of tea or coffee, or whatever your drink of choice is, and settle in for this fun discussion. As always with book chats, there is a spoiler alert in effect, so you've been warned. If you enjoyed today's episode, please support this podcast by sharing it with one book nerd friend or on your favorite social media space. That would really help me out, and I appreciate you for doing it. The uncut video version of this podcast is available now on Patreon. Join us there for exclusive videos, including this podcast after show. You can find both Classy and myself on Instagram and Twitter. And if you're reading or listening to this audiobook and would like to contribute to the conversation, of course, be sure to join the Shelf Addiction Official Facebook group. I hope to hear your thoughts on this discussion. The links for everything I've mentioned are below in the show notes. We've got a lot to cover today, guys, so we're going to jump right on in. Joining me is the Buddy Read feature co-host, Classy Green. Welcome back, Classy.
Hi, Tamara. Thanks for bringing me back another month.
Of course. Today we are discussing the audiobook version of Little Secrets written by Jennifer Hillier, and it is narrated by Kristen Potter, which, by the way, was one of the two narrators from last month's book, The Sundown Motel. Did you catch that, Classy?
You know what? I thought her voice sounded familiar, but I didn't remember the name because I'm listening. I'm like, gosh, this sounds familiar. Yeah. Who was she? Which? Okay, we'll go back later.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that later.
We can. The release date for Little Secrets is April 21st, 2020. The unabridged audio comes in at 10 hours and 33 minutes. So yes, this was an interesting, fun ride, and it was pretty long. It was published by Macmillan Audio. And of course, as always, Classy, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Okay, I am reading the synopsis, well, part of the synopsis from Goodreads. If you like to read the entire synopsis, please go to Goodreads. 480 seconds. That's how long it took for someone to steal Marin Machado's 4-year-old son. Marin had the perfect life, married to her college sweetheart. She owns a chain of upscale hair salons, and Derek runs his own company. They're admired in their community and are a loving family, up until the day Sebastian is taken. A year later, Marin is a shadow of herself. The FBI search has gone cold. The publicity has faded. She and her husband rarely speak. The only thing keeping her going is the unlikely chance that one day Sebastian reappears. She hires a PI to pick up where the police left off. But instead of finding him, she discovers that Derek is having an affair with a younger woman. That is Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier. Hillier?
Oh.
Yes.
Hillier, I think.
Yes.
All right.
Let's get in there.
Yeah. So I was looking forward to this one. I think when we found it last time, it didn't take us too long to decide on it. So that was
No.
a good.
Yes. Right. I think we had two choices, but I couldn't download the other one because of Scribd, whoever. So we use this, defaulted to this. But I mean, I don't think it was, like by default. We did like it. Literally, we both was like, oh, I'm enjoying this one. Let's keep going.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
This is definitely like a domestic suspense or thriller title.
I agree.
Yeah, I thought overall it was good. It was really fast paced.
Yeah,
I didn't really
there were
have
no
too many.
lulls.
Yeah, I didn't have too many issues with it at all. What about you?
I agree. The start wasn't slow, and I think that's something that you and I both have in common. I mean, some books, if it's a slow start, it's okay if it's not like too long. But this one, she kind of jumped right on in there. I mean, she gave us a little background, but it wasn't a lot. And then she got right to the action. So I thought the pace was good. I didn't find any moments where, I kind of zoned out and was doing other things around the house and was like, yeah, I'll get back to it. Or, how sometimes you just feel like there's some parts, if you miss, you can figure out the rest down the line. This was not one of those stories. I was enthralled the whole time.
Yeah, it was pretty face value. So there wasn't a whole lot of having to fit things and figure out things. And it was told in a linear story fashion, a linear story, which was good.
Right.
Although there was a few times where we got some flashbacks for Kenzie, like to kind of develop her relationship with JR.
Right.
But it wasn't confusing at all.
No. Right. Because she would. Yeah. Because wasn't it almost at a point where sometimes if you felt like she was talking to herself when she would have those and it wasn't just like the flashback. It was almost as if she was talking to herself. And then I'd be like, oh, she's thinking back. And then all of a sudden it was like she snapped out of it and the story got back in there. And that didn't bother me, because at first that could be confusing. But the way Jennifer wrote this, it was smooth. I liked it.
Yeah, it was like Kenzie was in her own memories and we were just seeing it on the page.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was hard. And we did audio. So I wonder too, like, how did that come across? Those were some things I did think about. Like, how did that come across in print?
Mm-hmm.
Was it confusing?
Maybe it was italicized or something. I wonder.
Maybe. Yeah. I do too.
Well, I did like how it started. It started with the event that kind of set the tone for the rest of the book. It started with the big event of Marin and Derek's child being kidnapped. But I gotta say, I loved that it was set in Seattle, and I love that the first thing was at Pike Place. I love that area.
So you had some familiarity with that location.
And it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people down there. And I could imagine, I mean, you literally drop that kid's hand for 45 seconds, maybe.
Right.
Just try to have.
She said 480 seconds. So.
Yeah. So 3-4 minutes, maybe? And it's like, when we find out later, like what all unfolded, it made so much sense. Like she couldn't hear. She tried to move away so you can hear. And before you know it, that kid is gone.
Right. And this was a week before Christmas. So like you said, when you went to visit Seattle, it wasn't Christmas time. I don't know what month it was. So if it was busy during your visit, can you imagine during Christmas?
So imagine this. So I went there, if you guys aren't familiar, to hang out with Casey and Nicola, who are also co-hosts on this podcast for another show. And
Hey, Casey. Hey, Nicola.
yeah. And when we were down there, there's a bunch of stalls on the top level. And, I stopped to like take a picture of some fruit or something, some really gorgeous fruit. I don't know. You know me and pictures and Instagram. Y'all follow me on Instagram anyway.
And food.
And food, yes. So I stopped to take a picture. I was stopped maybe for 20 seconds. It wasn't long because, I'm fast. I look up and I can't find, they're gone.
Oh.
So it was like one of those things we're texting, where'd you go?
Wow.
So can you imagine a child?
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, because people are just moving and gone. So I totally believe this. I bought it. I felt the panic. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, snap.
Yep. I bought the panic because I lost a child, not in that kind of location. My son was supposed to be home after school. Neighbors, he was supposed to check in with the neighbors and hadn't. And I was on my way to class. I was taking college classes. And they called me and said they can't find him. He never checked in. And I'm driving and I got to school and then checked the phone. Heart just dropped. So I didn't go to class. I came back home. My heart rate was sky high, and just driving back, I'm looking like at every person walking by, seeing, is he with them? Looking for creepy people, looking for kidnap van, just everything, looking in bushes, like, just looking. Mm-hmm. So I understand the hysteria of losing a kid. And come to find out, he was at the other neighbor's house next door. My other son was supposed to come home at a certain time, but he forgot to tell my son he had an after school activity. He left his key. Other neighbors saw him sitting on the porch. It was hot. And she said, just come over here and call. Well, he called, nobody answered. He wound up falling asleep over there. So,
wow.
So yeah, but I was crying. Because after a while, I think it was like an hour or so, we had called the police. So by the time I came home, I had called my husband. Neighbors called the police. By the time we got home, it was just full out police here. Everybody's crowded around. And then while we're outside the house, crowded around, the neighbor next door comes out and said, what's going on? And I'm like, we're looking for Devontae. And she's like, oh, he's inside sleeping. They're taking a nap.
No. I bet you were so relieved. Like, oh, thank God.
I was. But she thought I was upset with her because of the look on my face. And I was like, no. I said, that was a look of relief. I said, because we thought he was missing. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, he called. And I was like, oh, God.
Oh, my gosh. So, I got to tell you this one missing kid story. I know you guys were off topic, but you know how we do. Okay. So I remember this like so clearly. I feel like I was in the 3rd grade. In Detroit, we have the Detroit Auto Show every winter. So my father, who's an engineer, we always go. Every year we went like clockwork. So it was me, my 2 little sisters, my mother, and my father. My youngest sister is 5 years younger than me. So we're in there looking at the cars. We have the stroller, because I have a sister that's 3 years younger than me and then one that's 5 years younger than me. And I was in the 3rd grade. So I should tell you about the ages. So we're in there. We're doing our thing. I don't know how long we were there. But at some point, and it's very crowded, at some point, I don't know what I was doing or I just don't remember what happened. But all of a sudden, I remember my mom saying, I'm not going to say her name, bleep, where's your sister? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, she's right here. And my mom was like, what? And I wasn't like watching her. We were all walking around together.
Right.
So my mom
and you
said
have your
something.
parents there.
Right. My mom says something to my dad. They kind of look around, and my dad says to me, stay right here with your other sister. Do not move. Stay here. Do not move. And they took off. In different ways. And they found her, but she was in a car pretending to drive. Someone picked her up and put her in the car. So obviously she wanted to play in the car, and someone helped her get in there, but they found her in a car, and they were like, oh my God, how'd you even get in here? I felt the fear from my parents. I was sitting there like, oh my God, what? I'm like,
where is she?
I'm just standing there with my other sister like, oh my God. But they came back with her and it was fine. But that panic, man.
Yeah, I know. I shook my son. I mean, I didn't shake him up, but I'm just like, do you realize? And he was like, but I called, because he thought he did everything right. And I was like, but you were supposed to call Rhonda and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, but they weren't even home when I got here. And she was like, I was only a few minutes late, but by the time she got there, the neighbor saw him. So, yeah. And
that makes me wonder, though. Like, I bet that almost every set of parents or parent has at least one good scare, I feel like. Because it seems so common. You turn your head for a minute. Or something peculiar happens where you miss each other by a few minutes.
Yeah, because kids are curious. And that's all it takes is for something to pique their interest. And as you can see in this story, Santa Claus
with a big old colorful lollipop
that he loved.
That he just got finished begging his mother for this lollipop.
Yep. So, I mean, and it does. That's all it takes. And, when your child goes missing, you think the worst. You don't think, you think the worst because people are crazy, as we see in this story.
Yeah. I mean, and it's insane. And it's like, at first, I really felt bad for Marin because I felt like Derek blamed her, even though he quote unquote said he didn't. But the vibes I was getting was like, what's his effing problem? Like, why is he mad that she's mad, sad or mad,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And at first it was like, you did get the feeling that he was upset with her, or he blamed her. But later on in the story, I think it was all in Marin's head because, maybe at first, until they got that, we'll talk about that later. The call that Derek got, but I think she felt that way. And if anybody has gone through depression or grief or all those stages, you do begin to blame yourself, and then I wonder if it was part of her grief that she felt like it was my fault, and he believes it was my fault. But now that I say this, he make a comment that implied that it was her fault?
Yeah, and I think because initially he thought it was like the kid was with you. You let go of his hand. It was your fault.
Right. Yeah.
But he had extreme guilt, which we didn't learn about till later.
Right. And and that is a big thing to lay on somebody, that you let go of his hand. Dude, it's Christmas time. You got people bumping each other. You can hold as tight as you want. All it takes is just one little quick moment. But when your child is gone, all that goes out the window. Somebody's got to get blamed. So.
And I mean, Marin took it really hard. I mean, as you would expect, but to the point where she was in deep depression. She tried to kill herself.
Yeah. Yeah. Because she felt like, if I would have did this, he would still be here. She probably played every scenario possible in her head to believe that just one little thing I did right, he would be here. Maybe if I didn't, promise him that lollipop, because, the lollipop is what got him lured away, or maybe if, we would have not stayed so long at this store and blah, blah, blah. But
you know what, when it comes down to it, in this case, in this book, when everything is revealed, it's like, it wouldn't have mattered what you did. It wouldn't have mattered if you didn't go to that lollipop store. That kid was going to be taken.
Yeah.
At some point during that day.
Yeah. Yeah. In this book, yes.
Yes, in this book.
It was all, in most kidnappings. Yeah. And in most kidnappings, no matter what you've done wrong, most kidnappings are planned.
Mm-hmm.
It may be a crime about, but most of them are planned. They watch. Most kidnappings aren't just fly by night.
Mm-hmm.
They do their research because they got to find the right opportunity.
Yes. Just like, what was that book we were reading? I can't think of the name right now, but when the parents had to steal another child. Remember that? What was the name of that book?
The Chain.
The Chain, yes.
The Chain.
So It was like, in that book, that child was going to get taken, right? Because they did their homework. They were meticulous.
Yep.
So it was like, there's nothing you could have done.
No. But, yeah. Any mother, most parents, you
I mean, you feel guilty.
And, yeah, you do.
Yeah. And
you really do.
And that is, even though I don't have kids, I can imagine if I lost my niece or nephew, I would feel guilty.
Yeah. And that I was going to say, just even like babysitting other people's kids, like, we've had my daughter's friends over to the house, and one of them wanted to leave. Well, she wanted to go walk down the street because her friend lived down the street. Well, not on my watch, because your mom entrusted me with you. Mm-hmm. So no, you cannot. Now I can go take you down there. Well, come to find out, she had other plans. And when I offered to take her, it was okay. But you know what I mean? Those are the things that you worry about. And a lot of your kids don't get it. Why can't I have someone to live in my house? Mm-hmm. All it takes is one accident.
Yeah.
And then you're in trouble because you are in charge of somebody else's child. And that's a big responsibility. So like you said.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So a year later, we jump ahead after this incident, which is good because, we didn't need to see that time in real time at all.
No.
Marin and her husband are pretty well known. They're kind of like, I want to call them like maybe like a B-level celebrity status. They're not superstars, but people know them because like Marin is like this stylist to the stars, right? Hairstylist to the stars.
Yeah.
And her husband, Derek,
J-Lo.
J-Lo and stuff. And Derek has a very successful business. So they're very well off. They have money. They have some clout.
Right.
But the publicity is faded. The, search has gone cold, and their relationship has crumbled to nothing.
Yeah, they don't talk. They haven't had sex in months.
Yeah.
If not a year.
Mm-hmm.
But, they're not. She's in grief. She goes to a missing parents of missing children support group. Derek started off going, I think, maybe one session or whatever, and then he stopped going. But yeah, the communication is sparse because, again, Derek believes she's responsible. And I think he said he didn't believe in this kind of group therapy or whatever. So they are just basically two ships passing in the night.
Yeah.
They live together. That's it. They're roommates at this point.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate, but still, because of the situation, I feel like he's that kind of person. We learned really quickly about Derek that he cheated on her when she was pregnant. So even though the time is rough, you're supposed to be married through tough, good and bad times. This is a bad time. And so what if you haven't had sex in a year? Guess what? Your freaking kid is missing. Okay. And to his knowledge, what he knows, he feels like the kid is dead. We're not going to say how he feels that yet, but he feels that the child is dead.
Right.
So why wouldn't you give your wife the benefit of the doubt and try to get through it?
Yeah. Because it's, you know, and when that was revealed, I kind of went back and thought, oh, this dude is going through his own thing as well. Because how do you tell your wife, you know, when we hear that at the end of the story of what would you have done? Or how would I tell you that? So now he's dealing with grief or guilt. I'll say guilt. But again, he is a character. You cheated while your wife is pregnant, dude. And what was his excuse? She wasn't taking care of him, or he felt like he was being neglected. Basically, I mean, I'm not saying verbatim from the story, but it basically falls into the category of, I don't feel like I'm being taken care of, or I'm being left out. Why? Because she's carrying the child and all the attention is on her.
Right. Okay. Like, get out of here.
You're a little needy, but
that shows you he's not really a good guy in that way.
No. And they said, well, he even mentioned that he grew up with nothing. So he wanted to make sure, you know, he was showy. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't necessarily say narcissistic, but you know, he had to have the finer things. He loved having that, what was the name of that car? The Batmobile, but what was the name?
Was it a McLaren or something? It was something.
Was it Bugatti? No, it was some.
It was something very, very expensive that not a lot of people can own.
No. So everybody knew when they saw that in that little Seattle town or whatever, and I won't say little, but when they saw that car, that it was his, and it showed, oh, I got money. I have lots of money.
It shows I have money, and look at me. I mean, look at me, because if like they only manufacture 5 of those things, come on, everyone knows who has those cars. That's the kind of car he had.
Yep. And he loved the attention. And granted, you didn't grow up with anything, but you know, that's a big neon sign of, I need attention. I'm starving for attention.
But so those things,
when we think about that,
well, those things about him though made him the ultra douchebag to Sal, who is Marin's best friend.
Mm-hmm. Who happened? Well, Derek thought, what did Derek think? Derek didn't think. Did Derek know he had money? But it was just so weird, you know, the dynamic or of the two. Like, Sal had money. You know, Sal grew up with his dad owned a winery and had money, and he, you know, turned out to be, you know, he had a criminal life and he wasn't flashy. And here you have Derek, who I think, no, you know what? I think Sal thought Derek had money. I think that was the thing. He thought that Derek always had money.
Okay.
Come to find out. Yeah, I think that was the thing. And Derek didn't. Derek came up poor and was a made man. I think that's what he called himself. So, but yeah, that was the ultimate for Sal, that here, you know, he got dumped for Derek. Dumped by Marin for Derek. What, before a trip to Cancun, was it? She met him in Cancun. Was it like spring break or something? It comes back.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Marin and Sal's past a little bit. So they've known each other forever. They dated heavily, like seriously in college. They dated off and on really seriously. Like it seemed like they would break up for random stuff and then get back together.
Right.
So when Marin went off and had this girls' vacation, and met Derek and came back like, this is him. This is it. Sorry, Sal. Yeah. We're just friends. His feelings were hurt.
Yeah. But at first he was like, okay, you had a little fling. Oh, well, you're back here now. So that does show, like you were saying, that they had this on and off again relationship, that he just thought, okay, You sold your little oats while you were down there in Cancun or wherever they went. Okay, that's it. We're back together. That's in the past. But no, she was like, I really like him.
Yeah, she's like, no, I'm marrying this one.
And he could not figure it out at
No, he
all.
couldn't. He could not.
I mean, but what would you think? We had this kind of ping pong kind of relationship. What, college is 4 years? Because they basically met freshman year?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they said they met. Was it? Yeah, they met in college. So for 4 years, you're going back and forth with this guy. You make up to break up, and then this happens. So yeah, he didn't get it. He thought she was the one.
I mean, honestly, I am really surprised that they were able to maintain a friendship after that. Because if that just seems insane to maintain a friendship with someone that you carried on with for that long. Yeah. And then have a platonic friendship.
Yeah. But I think what kept their friendship probably together for so long was that secret that they kept about Sal's dad.
Yeah.
I think, I think she kind of knew why he was so dark, but, and she had that soft spot for him that I know he's a bad guy, but he's only a bad guy because his dad was abusive. Dad was abusive to him and dad was abusive to mom. So I think she did have that soft spot for him, knowing that what they shared or, that secret that they shared was something that you hold on to. And he was always someone that she could turn to. Well,
that was a big secret. Let's talk about the secret real fast, because that was a big secret. So the secret, guys, is that I guess was it his birthday, Sal's birthday, or was it a holiday? It was something going on,
right?
And his dad was very drunk, and it seemed like maybe there was an argument or a fight or something. But somehow the man ended up falling over the balcony, and Maren came across this. She didn't see him do it.
Right.
But she went right into protective mode. We're going to say, I came across this, not you.
Yeah.
You're going to say this. And I mean, she went right into like, this is exactly what we're going to do. And she helped him cover up what is likely a murder.
Right. Yeah. Right. Because at the party, because I think it was Sal Sr.'s birthday or something, because Maren is guilty because she feels like they shouldn't have been at the party anyway. But she was like, you should go. It's your dad. It's his birthday or whatever celebration it was. Went there and dad got to popping off at the mouth. And Sal Jr. was like, I should kill you or you should be dead or whatever it was. And dad must have gotten his face and he pushed him and he fell over that balcony. And when Maren heard, I think basically when she heard that body hit that cement, she came in and she looked at Sal, and I think he confessed or was about to confess, and she kind of stopped him and, made that plan of this is what's going to happen. And, so I think that was another thing too. One of those things that Jennifer threw in there that almost threw me for a little bit, because I was like, Maren was quick to have an alibi for a murder. I wonder what she's capable of. Those are some of the things that she made me think about, because I was like, this girl was quick with the story.
Yeah,
I don't think I would have been that quick to figure out what are we going to tell the police. So at first I was like, does she have something to do with her son's? Those are some things.
Well,
which again is why I like this story.
That says a lot about her character, because what does she do when she finds out her husband is having an affair? She blames the woman. She blames the woman. She gets highly pissed off, and she runs right to her bestie and basically says, without saying it, I want to take her out. But he's so delusional. He heard, I want to take him out, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Well, did he really hear that? Because
they
when
were
she
vague.
went
They
to
were dancing around. They weren't really
yeah,
saying.
right. Because when she went to him, she kind of confessed, "Hey, Derek's having an affair. Here's the picture of the bluesy. She had the naked picture of her." But I think when she mentioned the affair, then Sal said, "I know a guy," but he didn't realize who the quote unquote floozy was until she showed the picture.
And he
And
made
like
some
you said,
assumptions.
right, then he made some assumptions that apparently you must want to get rid of Derek because, I mean, he's the one that's cheating on you. And I mean, Sal would make that assumption because he wants Derek out of the picture.
Yes,
Because
he does.
I mean, granted they're best friends, he still wants her. And that's real obvious.
And I'm sorry, Baron messed up that friendship that they had built by sleeping with him. That one time she was weak, she was tired, she was angry, all the feelings, and she wanted something familiar.
Drunk.
She was very drunk, but she knew what she was doing, though. She was not so far gone that she didn't know what she was doing. She did know. And she said the next day she didn't regret it. She told him she didn't regret it. But we can't be together.
Yeah, because she thought she was paying Derek back. Like, oh, he wants to do this, well, I'm going to do this. And who will be the wiser? Because she was probably thinking, my best friend will never tell. Will never tell. And homegirl will be dead anyway.
I know. She'll be dead anyway.
She'll be dead anyway. So let's just get this out of the way.
Yes. And it's crazy to me. Like, I can't imagine being so rich where I could pull out $250,000 from somewhere, put it in a bag, hand it to someone, and people would not think it's a big deal.
No. Okay. So you thought that same way, because I thought, you mean to tell me you could go to the bank the same day and get $250,000, not a wait. Because usually, you have to tell them ahead of time to say, I'm going to pull this amount of money. Not write a cashier's check. No, you're withdrawing this amount of money.
I don't know any bank that keeps that unless it's a deposit day, right? Like, let's say a bunch of businesses come with deposits. I used to work at a bank. You don't usually keep that kind of money.
No. And maybe she did do that, and I'm just,
it seemed like it was fast. Remember, he was like, I need she didn't get cash. She did a transfer. She did a wire transfer into
that's right.
A charity account.
That's right. That is right.
But still not to think about it. No one to question anything. It's just like $250,000.
$250,000.
Yeah.
$250,000.
And between the two of them, they paid that 2 times over. He paid $250,000. She paid $250,000.
$500,000.
And she didn't get her money. Well, she got her money, but she didn't get her money, which is funny. Talking about that too.
Because the deal was, Sal said, I know a guy. He hooked her up with Sal, who Sal happened to be an ex-con. He was his cellmate when Sal had to serve time for, what did he get caught with? Weed?
I don't even know.
In college, he got caught with something, and he had served like a couple months maybe in jail. Wasn't prison, but jail. And Julian is the guy who he calls, and Marin says, how do you know this guy? Well, he's done some work for me before, or, something like that. So she meets with Julian. He tells her, hey, $250,000, no refunds, basically, no takebacks. He gave her some rules. We're going to extend the time because if I do it too fast, it's going to look obvious. But, he very professional, and they met at this little restaurant. Apparently the waitress knew this was his spot to be clients because I thought that was the funniest scene because I can't remember her name. She kind of laid in the cut as he took care of business and refilled coffee and knew she was going to get a big tip. So, but yeah, it was basically Julian would do the hit. But Julian was surprised too because Julian thought it was the husband. And well, he thought it was the husband because that's what Sal told him. And she's like, no, I want Mackenzie dead.
Yeah, I want this whole dead.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's go back to how with Mackenzie because what I see your face. You like, we want this trick dead.
Yeah.
Her right here. And what happened is, like we said like I read in the synopsis, Myron had hired this detective. I can't remember her last name. Veronica, I think that's her first name, to, keep looking for Sebastian. While researching, she found out that Derek was having an affair and was having an affair with Mackenzie. Mackenzie worked at a coffee shop. And once she found out about Mackenzie, let me backtrack. Veronica, isn't her name Veronica?
I feel like it was Vanessa for some reason.
Vanessa, okay, it was some kind of V.
Yeah.
She told her, hey, there's this app you can use that can trace text messages, or you can mirror the text messages. So she loaded this app.
The Shadow app or something.
Shadow app. Downloaded the app and found out about Mackenzie, and then basically stalked Mackenzie, stalked her Instagram page, found out that she worked at some coffee house in Seattle. Myron went to the coffee house, pretended like she didn't know who Mackenzie was, ordered a coffee, blah, blah, blah. And it was funny because she basically dogged poor Mackenzie out. She was beautiful, but her roots were bad. And this she had pink hair.
Well, she's a young student. She didn't have nothing.
Yeah. Nope. She was a struggling graduate student going for an MFA. So,
Yep.
Wow. In interior design with a mother who is in nursing facility because of, dementia?
Yep.
So, so Myron goes to the coffee shop and pretends like, hey, I'm just here for a coffee. And Mackenzie plays it off. Because at first I was like, maybe she doesn't know what Myron looks like. It was well done.
Yeah, later we find out she did know that was her the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Good acting. So, yeah, but Myron stalked her. I mean, every chance she could get. And, the Shadow app, every time she sent a message to Derek, she would read it. They had this little tryst. I can't remember where they went. But, they had hotel stays and all this kind of stuff. So...
Which was funny. Okay, so speaking of that was funny to me because, so Kenzie, we start to learn more about her, Mackenzie, aka Kenzie. We start to learn that this chick is not just some dumb, doe-eyed college student. We start to learn that she's actually very surprisingly aware of what she's very aware of what she's doing, these relationships she's having with he's not the first one.
Right.
And
she's a professional girl.
She's a professional girlfriend. And she even notices, like one of the quotes I, marked, there's a big difference between a man who genuinely wants to be with her and a man who just doesn't want to go home. She's very aware of the fun. She's like, it's fun when we start. That is why they're doing it. They're looking for an escape or something.
Spark.
So
wasn't it like the spark or something that they, and once she sees it, she's like,
and she can tell when it's going out. She can tell when it's going out. Like with Derek, she's like, oh no, I can tell he about to try to dump me.
The gig is up.
Gig is up.
Yep. You're right. And when I don't know, you probably thought the same thing. And I can't remember the title of the book, but it was the Sugar Babies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The arrangement.
Like, oh,
the arrangement,
yes,
yeah.
I'm like, a sugar baby.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't call it a sugar baby until I think somebody else called her a sugar baby. But they called themselves, her and her roommate, who basically kind of introduced her to the better way of, how would I say this?
Getting paid for her services.
Right. It basically, if you're going to do this thing, do it the right way. Her roommate showed her this, but she called it professional girlfriend.
Yeah, she's
like, you a sugar
basically,
baby.
don't mess with these broke ass. Get the guys who got money, play them, and then when they are done, and they want to get rid of you, they are going to pay you to go away.
Because the first boyfriend offered her $10,000, and her roommate was like 10.
Mm-hmm.
You're selling yourself short, babe.
Mm-hmm.
I was like 10. Dang. She's like, no, you need to like triple that.
Maybe like, I'm talking $50,000 to go away.
and the kid who was like, her eyes was probably like dollar sign. She's like, tell me more.
Tell me more. And she learns because through her memories, we see her basically blackmail a dude. Like, hey, I'm gonna walk up to your door and knock on your door. Even though the wife of this guy, I think his name was Peter, she was already crazy. The wife came to her apartment trying to knock down the door and bust her way in, but she didn't care. She was like, I will still go over there. And he was like, whatever, just go away. I'll give you whatever.
She went over there pretending like she was drunk. She was like, no, I love you. And he was like, get away. Like, yes, for a price.
Yeah. He's like, what are you doing here? You've got to go. She's like, but I love you. Whatever you want. Okay, I'm going to do $50,000.
And she's like, are you crazy? She's like, 9. Then she sobered up real quick. 9 a.m. I will. What bank do you bank at? Mm-hmm. Oh, First Midwest. Okay, 9 a.m. I will meet you there.
Be there or I'll see you back here. At your front door.
My kids are in there.
Okay.
I'll be there when your kids are there too. Kids and wife. So yeah.
Which that was important because I felt like the author did not want us to have any kind of sympathy for Kenzie, no matter what befell her.
No. And you're right. You are so right. She didn't leave anything unturned. It was like, this woman picked everything possible. Like you said, you didn't have any sympathy. She was, but she tried to fool us with it. I'm not a homewrecker. They're a homewrecker, which I did agree with. I did agree with that because the men know.
Look, here's the quote.
She knows too that she's.
I got the quote. Here it is.
Okay.
The one term Kenzie has never liked is homewrecker. She's not a homewrecker, and neither was the woman her father left them for. Men wreck their own homes. And I agree.
Yep.
The person with the commitment, the person wearing the ring, has the responsibility to not be doing dumb stuff.
Yep. And I mean, just because Kenzie knew does not make her the homewrecker. Because like you said, you made that commitment. She didn't make a commitment to Susie Homemaker. Peter did, or Paul did, whatever his name was. Yeah. He did that. You had those kids with that lady.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I realize I love her. You weren't anything. We were just, that's not what you said under those sheets in the Best Western or right. in the 5-star hotel or,
She don't know. She's not going to know Best Western.
I forgot. Yeah, I changed that real quick. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. Best Western? Nah, sorry.
Don't those have doors to the outside?
Girl, that might be where she stays when she's not with her sugar daddy. Because, she was poor. She was living in
She was bone poor.
Apartment. Yeah, in that apartment where
she blows through her money and is gone.
Yeah.
Because that one scene where she and Derek were going on their little weekend vacation and they stopped at McDonald's and she was going to pay for this McDonald's, but she was so broke.
That her card declined for less than $10 basically, because what was it, a Big Mac, fries, and she got something cheap because she knew she wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Oh my, yeah, she was. And I mean, oodles and noodles was her meal of choice because what was it, 10 cents a packet?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 20 oodles or noodles. I'm thinking she might have used a little cup of noodles. But anyway, but yeah, she was. She blew through her money. Because I'm thinking too, and granted, she was paying for her mother's health care. But I'm like, what did you do with the 50,000?
I don't know. I guess maybe. I mean, because I know she said the first time she got that money, she paid her next tuition,
Okay, I forgot about that.
tuition, and
She
then
was a
she
college
paid for her
student.
mother
That's right. That's
for
right.
like, I
So
don't know, a
yeah,
couple months or something.
yeah,
But she'd have to keep dating men and keep re-upping that every 6 months or so
yeah,
to sustain
and
that.
yeah, and it's like, how do you find your next target? I know there's another name for them, but yeah. So um, as we find out later, Derek finds out about Derek and Kent because well, let's backtrack. Kenzie has a on again, off again relationship with the old boyfriend named JR.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she dated him when she was in high school back in her old
Yeah.
town. Yeah, and he was
Yeah.
what, like 30 and she was maybe 17, if
Yeah.
not
Because
younger.
she gave up her virginity to him like
And
her
you know
senior
what that
year.
happened.
Right. So she went off to college and it was like, he was like, okay, oh my God, he was this douchebag that basically is like, when I'm with you, I'm with you. But when I'm not, I'm not.
Right. I'm not your world. There's so much
Yeah.
more to the world than me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, ooh, he is that
Asshole. Like, really?
man.
Are we doing
Right.
that? That's what we're doing?
Right. You just took her virginity and
Right.
basically told her, oh, well, there's more fish in the sea than
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
But next time I see you, girl, the next time I see you, we
And he
good,
gets
right?
it because for some reason she fell right into that pattern with him.
Because that was her first love.
Yeah.
You know,
Which
you know, she had that tie with him, that what they call it, that soul tie, you know, and she loved him and he did not love her.
he
He just
treated
knew
her
that,
badly the whole time. That every time we
yeah,
saw a scene between those two, it was
yeah,
horrible. Like,
it
he
was.
treats you shitty.
Yep. But she just thought, oh, you know, he's moody, or, you know, she always made excuses for him. And it was, you know, but it was the classic older guy, younger girl. She didn't know the ways of the world. And he just got a young, dumb girl who loved his dirty little draws and he could do no wrong.
Yeah.
And basic, but you know, they would talk and he realized that she was a pretty girl who could use her looks for gain. And when she told him about her relationship, her latest sugar daddy, basically, or, you know, her boyfriend, he realized who Derek was. And at first, because he's like, she kept saying, oh, he really gets interested when I talk about Derek.
Mm-hmm.
But she called, but you know, JR. And
So that
listeners,
was the first big revelation, guys. If you missed it,
yeah,
Sal and JR are
right,
the same person.
yes, JR, Sal Jr.
Yeah.
And when she said JR the first time, I was thinking it was Julian because Julian's name begins with a J. And you know, and listeners, Tamara and I talk or text each other, you know, especially if the book is good. When it's bad, we probably just wait to it's time to record. We just like, yeah. But when it's good, you know, she texts me, she's like, I'm at 81%. Tell me what you think. And I know I tagged it at like 51%, and and I have to look at my book. But I thought at first JR was Julian because of the J. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, wait a minute, she was dating the fixer? And then, we go on. And then Julian is tracking basically Kenzie, because Kenzie is like walking home in different times and she feels like somebody's watching her, but she can't find them. She's hearing like leaves crunching and branches crunching, and she's like, I feel like somebody's following me. And when Derek breaks up with her, because Derek tries to break up with her more than once.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, no, I love you. And he's like, okay, I'll take you back. Because what did he leave her, like $5,000?
Yeah.
The first time when he broke up with her. And she was like, oh, what is this? And he was like, I just left you a gift. And she's like, oh. And she basically was like, no, I need more than that. But she was like,
she purposely was trying to get him back because she's like, that's not going to work.
No, that's not enough. So I need to act like, we need to rekindle. So, excuse me. So then he takes her back and says, okay, I'll take you back. In the meantime, Marin is still listening, shadowing the text messages. And then he finally does break up with her. And Mackenzie finds out that Marin and Derek are in Whistler or whatever it is, some kind of location, on, what did she find out on Instagram? Was it?
Yeah, she was stalking her Instagram account and figured out they were on a anniversary weekend.
20-year anniversary weekend. And once she finds that out, she's like, you know what? Then she got drunk. She decides to go to the house. And I can't remember why she wanted to go to their house. Was she going to trash it?
I don't know. I don't even remember why she got there or why she went there.
But she was drunk. Who knows what decisions you make when alcohol is involved. But she realized that she knew the code to the house and went to the house to do something. And long story short, she comes out of the house, hears somebody is, realizes somebody is stalking her, and it's Julian. And she's like, Julian, what are you doing here? Is JR with you? And he punches her. And that's when I realized that Julian is not JR, but that JR is Sal.
Yeah, I didn't make that connection right away. I feel like the first time I made the connection that JR and Sal were the same person, without any doubt, I absolutely knew they were the same, was around that 81% when Sal and Marin were having that phone call and he just kind of went off on her. I'm like, wait a minute, we've never seen his personality like that. Like that reads like JR's personality.
Yep. Because what happened was, Sal was going to see his mom again. Mom's hip surgery didn't go well, or she was going to need another one, and she needed a lot of help. And Marin said, you know what? I'll go help Mom. I feel bad. We're good friends. I'll be more than happy to go and help Mom. And Sal, refused her every time, but Marin kept, badgering him. No, I feel bad. And he basically said, shut the fuck up.
Yes.
No, don't come see my mom. She doesn't like you. You should have been, the mother of her grandchildren, but no, you basically had to go marry Derek. So yeah, he basically snapped off, and he snapped off hard.
He said she doesn't even like you. Every time she sees you, I mean, he went in on her, and she was like, "Damn, okay, I won't go."
It's like, I never knew her to be like that with me. Yeah. But okay. And so you do realize, like, okay, he's trying to keep her away, so he's hiding something.
And spoiler alert, this is also the same moment I knew that he had the kid. Because in my mind, I'm like, why is he not wanting her to go up there so bad? What is he hiding up there?
Yeah.
He's hiding something there, or somebody.
Right. Yep. Because it was more than just you seeing my mom.
Yes.
It was, you're trying to block me from possibly discovering something. Because if your mom is just helpless because of hip surgery, that's no big deal.
Mm-mm.
But he was afraid mom might talk,
And I mean, we
reveal
already
something.
had like some connective tissues already because the author was laying the groundwork by the investigator telling us, well, what's in common between your
Oh,
husband,
right. Yep.
this happened then, something happened then, and something's happened now.
Right.
His girlfriend's missing and his child was missing.
Yep. The common denominator was Derek.
Yeah.
At that time.
Right.
And you're just like, And then we're thinking to ourselves, no, the common denominator is really Marin.
Yes.
But then you start thinking, wait a minute, but the common denominator in this whole scenario is Sal.
Mm-hmm.
The girlfriend. Yeah. And then you start thinking back, you're like, JR. What does JR stand for? Junior.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, yeah, he is Sal Jr.
Yeah, because that is how they said it. JR. Mm-hmm. They would not call him Junior. They just said JR.
Yep. And then you start thinking, I think he was, like the second or something. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And the author did a good job keeping those Sal and JR separate because they had such different personalities until they collided at that moment.
Yep. You are so right. It was the reveal. It was like Jekyll Hyde. Mm-hmm. Because he was the sweetest guy. Even Marin said it. Oh, he would never do anything like that. Yeah. We never saw that side of Sal. But then the detective said most abusers, if the parent is an abuser, they basically fall in line with that. And she was, and Marin was like, no, he would never do that. That, most people who are raised in abusive homes are abusive as well. And she was like, oh, he would never do anything like that to her son. But he was capable of that. And he may not have done anything to Sebastian, but he was abusive to Mackenzie.
He was
abusive to his mom.
He was abusive to both of them.
Yeah. And, it was like you said, it was that clash of personalities where he presented himself as something totally different to Marin. Mm-hmm. And then we really began to see, well, he always was this person, but we began to see the reveal of the dark side of Sal.
After that, it seemed like everything just tumbled out of the closet really quickly. All the connective tissues kind of found each other, and it was like this big elaborate scheme. And when it was all said and done, so you guys, when it was all said and done, he needed money. His money was gone. And the first thing I thought this, and then the author writes it. I'm like, why didn't you just freaking ask Marin for the money? She would have given it to you. Yeah. And then they said that, she would have given you the money. You didn't have to do all of this. If you needed $500,000, you were such a good friend to her, she would have just given it to you.
But he wanted more than just the money. He wanted her. Because
and he wanted Derek gone.
Yeah. Because if you remember, she had mentioned when Francis, which was very key, and I thought it was so clever of Jennifer, that when Francis' son was found dead and that she was relieved that now I know where my son is, basically. And Marin confessed to Sal, hey, that I'm not sure if I would feel relieved or something. And Sal, he confessed to her, or not confessed to her, he asked her, you wouldn't be happy knowing your child was alive or dead or something like that. You remember that part of the story? Mm-hmm. Where I think she mentioned that she wouldn't be at ease knowing that he was dead. And that also, because Sal was basically saying, hey, if your child is gone, how would you feel? Because he knew he had her child. So he wanted more. He wanted more than just the money.
He didn't want her to kill herself or, to try another attempt of killing herself, because she says to
Right.
him again, if my son's gone, I have no reason to
I'm
be here.
dead.
Yeah.
I'm
dead.
She's like, if he's dead, I'm dead.
And he was
he
very
lost
upset.
his shit.
Yeah, he was
did.
very upset.
He lost his shit. So then that was another, like, revealing story to me that this dude, he thought, it was kind of like, if the son is alive, or if he brings the son to her, that he will be the savior to her. So it was more than just the money. He also wanted to kind of, be her rescuer. Like, look, I found your son.
I honestly don't understand what South saw in Marin. Not trying to be funny, but if you remember back, JR was never in a relationship. And when he said he liked someone, Kenzie was like, what? When he said she was like, huh? Like, what are you talking about? Like, he was never that kind of person.
Right. Yeah, because you know what? The waitress even said that. Remember when the waitress he was messing around with, who was so many years younger, and she was like, he's all yours. And she's like, Sal is never anyone's. And I thought that was like a key statement. Like you were saying, he was never anyone. He told Mackenzie that I don't belong to anyone, and you shouldn't either. But all of a sudden, Marin had his heart, but she always had his heart.
Yeah, but why? Like, what was so? And I wish that one connection was made. Like, what was it about her that he wanted so bad? Is it that, because after 4 years of getting together, breaking up, getting together, breaking up, like, that seems normal for like college age relationships, but then to keep like wanting her so bad that you're gonna tell on her husband when it's like you're trying to set him up to break up their marriage at one point. Now you're gonna kidnap their kid to try to break up their marriage at another point. It just was like, it just got to be so obsessive, and I couldn't figure out why he was obsessed with her.
Because if you think about it, in most of the relationships he had, he was always the one in control, where Marin was the one in this one. He was the one who had the power or the control over Mackenzie. Because Mackenzie and his relationship, did that start before college? No, that was after.
It was after college for him, but it was before college for her.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Which is weird. Or maybe he was in, but and that's another thing that doesn't quite align, their age gap. Like, how much of an age gap is it? Because if he went off to college, between Mackenzie and JR, because if JR was in college when he met Marin, okay, and clearly he's older than Kenzie, because he first took up with Kenzie when she was a senior in high school.
Right.
So if he, I don't know, if he's a junior, a freshman in college when he meets Marin, the age doesn't line up. Like, the age difference between them was never clear to me. Like, at first I thought there must have been like 8 to 10 years between them. But now it doesn't make sense.
I thought it was, because I thought they mentioned something like he was 30.
He was 30 years old messing with like a high school senior.
I thought they mentioned something like that when they revealed the story of, because the mom was the caretaker or the housekeeper, and they were saying that he was a dirty old man, but nobody cared. But he was older, if not maybe mid-20s, late 30s. So I'm thinking maybe right after college. So I'm thinking maybe average person 30.
I don't know. Because think about it. So if they just celebrated 20 years together, Marin and Derek, they met in college. They got married.
Okay.
Had this kid. And if you remember when the kid was taken, he was 4 years old. So I feel like Marin and Derek and Sal could not be older than like 35 at the point that the child is taken. They couldn't be older than 35 years old. All of them. Because they were all together. But how old is Kenzie?
Okay.
Is Kenzie 25? Is Kenzie 24?
Kenzie was 24. I do remember 24 because what was mentioned? Somebody else was 24 in the story, and she was like, wait a minute, that's how old Kenzie is.
Okay, so that's about
I think she mentioned
10 years
yeah.
away. 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't remember the reference that because Marin mentioned it. She's like 24. That's like the same age Kenzie. Oh, I think the waitress that Sal was messing around with from his restaurant or from his bar. She was like, God, Sal sure does like him young. She's got to be like so-and-so about the same age Derek's mistress is or something like that. So I think she was like 24. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, she was 24. Because I don't know if it was mentioned in the missing person report or something on her Instagram page, but she was 24.
Okay, I still though.
So yeah, so it's maybe 10 years.
I still feel like the age, the timing for the two different storylines, as far as Marin and Sal versus Kenzie and JR, it doesn't line up for me perfectly. I tried to just go along, obviously, for the sake of the story. But when I start to really trying to figure out, when was this? How long has he been?
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean? It just
old?
didn't jive to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I tried to do it too. And then I just kept going on with the story because it was a lot. Because it's like, okay, he's a dirty old man, but how much older is the dirty old man?
Right. And that is, I think, kind of by design that the author made it kind of confusing so we wouldn't quickly connect Sal and JR.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Because whenever she would say about her JR, she never mentioned how old he was. He was just always the love of her life that she met back in her hometown. She never mentioned the hometown, which her and JR, Prosper or whatever the name of that town was. So yeah, she did. She it was very elusive. Very.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so let's talk about the end of this story. So we kind of told you guys that JR stole the baby, which he did. JR/Sal and his boy Julian made a plan to steal the baby, and they did. And then they tried to blackmail Derek, but that went poorly. They tried to do a hostage, situation, and that went bad.
Or a ransom.
A ransom,
for
$250,000. Again, I'm like, that number again.
Yeah.
That went bad, and Derek thought that Sebastian was killed. He had no clue that Sebastian was still alive. He thought he was dead. But what was nuts to me, I'm like, okay, why in the hell would you keep that child over a year? That doesn't make any effing sense. Like, okay, yes, you told your mother some elaborate story about why you got to protect this child. And okay, maybe she bought it for a while, but clearly his own mother, stopped believing him at some point.
Right. Yeah. Because it's like, what do you do then? If he kills that child, that mother would probably lose it. Because he only thought that the child was going to be there for only a short period of time.
I don't know why he just didn't take the kid and drop him off like in front of a damn fire station and drive off.
Thank you. Like it was your child and I'm just Yeah. I don't know, but
that's what I mean, honestly, like, why would you want to keep him that long? That's insane.
I think he was possibly waiting to see if Derek was going to F up again, because he was the one who basically told, because like we mentioned earlier, guys, this wasn't Derek's first affair. And the first affair he had with a Macy's or whatever perfume girl, don't quote me, but it's similar to that scenario. Sal is the one who informed Marin of that affair. So, every time he has an affair, except for the second time, the first affair, Sal informed him. So I also thought about that. Like, was he waiting for Sal to mess up again so he can kind of reveal to Marin, hey, your husband's a jackass. This is
Right.
what he's done.
Right.
Yeah, but like you said, a year. But then I think too, he knew if he killed that child.
I don't think he had it in him to kill him, but
No, not at
I'm
all.
just surprised he
Because that was a
didn't dump
part
the
of her.
child. Like when the plan didn't work as he expected, instead of trying to hide this
They needed
child,
the money.
but the money didn't work out. It didn't work out. You know, like the ransom didn't happen.
No.
So then you're what, going to just keep the kid forever until you can figure out another ransom? I don't understand. Because obviously I think it was a coincidence or just happened to work
Well,
out.
you know what though? Let's go back really quick. So he kept the child for a year. Kenzie and Derek dated for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you think about it, within that 6 months time, he probably was thinking, we just need a little time to get Kenzie and Derek acclimated until we can get to this point where we blackmail him. So that's probably that little time frame of keeping him for that year, because you have to build it up. She couldn't just ask for the. You don't go for it. I'm seeing.
But see, I don't, because I thought that Derek wanted Kenzie to not Derek. I thought Sal actually wanted Derek to be with Kenzie so that they could go off and he would leave Marin. That's what I thought. Like, that's why he was so vested in their relationship. And then when things obviously weren't going the way he wanted them to go, he decided to try to help Kenzie make some more money off of him.
But he always wanted Derek dead, remember? He was the one who basically put that thought into Marin's head that, hey, let's just off him.
He did want it, but he knew he wasn't going to get it. He couldn't force her. So change of plans.
No. Right. But in the meantime, the 6 months have accumulated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so he basically had Sebastian. I'm just giving a quick time frame. So he knew about Derek and Mackenzie's relationship at the 6 month mark of him having Sebastian, which is a damn long time to have a kidnapped child. Because they basically say historically or statistically, once a child is taken within so many, hours or whatever, if something isn't done, they're killed. But again, here's a pining lover who hopes, because I can't even remember when he tried to get the money from Derek. Like, what mark was that? I can't remember. But yeah, she was a little elusive. I won't go any further because of time constraints, but she was elusive with that part. It didn't take away from the story, but now that we talk about it, some of the timelines are a little off and a little stretched, far-fetched.
Yeah.
I will agree with that.
So, I mean, if you are detail-oriented, you're going to notice that things don't necessarily match up. But again, we're going to suspend disbelief and try to just go for the sake of the story, right?
Yeah. Because that's a long time to keep a child. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
And I was almost like, she was thinking when she was looking on the dark web that maybe this child was given over to a family who were trying to adopt illegally through the dark, in the underground. Because that's how I think, God, this is a long time. Maybe that's what happened. But no,
I don't know.
This whack job is just waiting for another opportunity to try and get money from his ex-girlfriend's husband.
And all of that, he didn't actually. Okay, so all of that, Sal never actually got a dime. Not really.
No.
So
No.
The only person who actually walked away with money at the end was Kenzie. And she only got that money because Martin felt guilty for trying to kill her.
Right. Because Julian basically tricked them.
Yeah, he took
He
off
never
with the money.
showed up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because he took off with Martin's first money. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So never got the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Kenzie felt bad because she realized if she would have killed Mackenzie had a mother. So she basically kind of felt like, hey, I don't want her mother to feel the way I'm feeling as a mother of a missing child. Because I don't know if we mentioned that, but Mackenzie, when Julian hit her, she was missing for 2 days?
Yeah.
So her roommate put out a missing report for her. So, Myron had a come to Jesus moment. Like, wait a minute, karma's a bitch.
Yeah. She's like, I mean, although I know that you would have never been killed, I still feel bad about attempting to have you murdered.
Yeah. And, she didn't know, because at one point I thought she was complicit with Sal in the kidnapping, but she didn't know that Sal had kidnapped this child.
No, she had no clue.
And once she found out, yeah.
I mean, she didn't even think that
she found out
her whole disappearance was even worth it. She kept telling him, why are we doing this? Is stupid. I would have had the money. Like, this is
it's like,
dumb.
I've done this before, dude.
Right.
Dude.
Like, this is dumb AF, because all you had to do is just chill and wait for me to do my thing, and I would have had this money.
Yep.
And she's like, why are you even involving yourself? This is my money, not this. You're not my pimp. What are you doing? She even said that.
I know. It was like, all of a sudden she got some kahunas. I was like, go ahead, Kenzie.
Because he inserted himself from her point of view, because she didn't know the connection. He inserted himself in her situation.
Right. And you taking a cut of my money.
Right.
Because he revealed that it was basically $500,000, not $250,000. And she's like, whoa.
Wait.
What'd you say?
What you talking about, Willis?
500,000? Right. 500. No.
Look, don't mess with a woman's money. She started grilling him like, what are you talking about this money? Like, she was not letting it go.
She's like, I'm not a math genius, but something isn't adding up here, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, where did this other $250 come from? And of course it was from,
Derek.
Yeah.
Yeah, Derek was supposed to pay that ransom.
And of course she didn't know about Marin's $250 that she already paid.
Right. To kill her. She was like, damn.
She's like, what?
Right. She was blind. She was blindsided from all sides.
Yeah.
All sides. She was, he tricked her.
So for someone so aware, she was really played. She was played. They were all played. That's what happens
with love. Yeah. When you love somebody like that, and I guess that's what we can say as a theme, love is blind. You just begin to think, no, they couldn't possibly, like she never thought Derek would, do what he did. Her wife, her husband, she never thought he would, even though she had she never thought he would, try and pay a ransom and try to save the day. Or, with their son's life, basically.
Yeah.
And she even told the detective, Sal would never do anything like that. He wouldn't hurt Sebastian. Okay, no, he didn't physically hurt him, but he took him from you.
Yeah.
He's very capable. This man is very capable when you think about it. Friend or no friend, when the rubber hits the road, he's a convict. He has a mean side.
Oh, he definitely does.
But she never saw it until that one time, like you said, then it all revealed when he snapped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, it was crazy. I mean, it was really an elaborate situation going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So I give her credit for that. It took
Jennifer did a. Oh yeah, she weaved a good story.
Mm-hmm.
She weaved a very good story. I
Yes, she
will.
did.
I will give her that. Yeah, I loved her writing.
I feel like this was a great book for book club because you could
Yeah.
just sit there and break down all these parts and just, just how we did today on our own little book club right here. You could do this with the, your own in-person book club for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the ending, like she gave Kenzie the money along with the Louboutin shoes that Kenzie was admiring when she broke in the house. And she basically, it wasn't clear, I mean, that she took Derek back, but they were trying to work things out. And if they didn't work out, well, it was basically, we're trying to see how this is going to go. And, there was a lot of things to think about. Like, what would you do after finding out your husband knew that your child or believed that your child was dead and never told me?
I think the only thing that stopped her, I mean, she did say they were done, but then of course, when they found the child, they probably were like, we have to create the most, like she said it, a stable, like a routine. The child needs a routine. And, luckily the kid wasn't hurt. He wasn't hurt. He did have the mom, the grandma, I guess he was calling her grandma or something. She was looking out for him. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he wasn't mistreated and he wasn't like, he was young enough that he won't be scarred for life, hopefully. But what I did wonder is like, okay, so he's 5 years old now. 5 years old isn't really an age that most kids retain. So I wonder when he's older, when he's 10 or 11 or 12, will he even remember this? Would you remind him or would you not say anything? Like, how does that work?
I think he would have some flashbacks. Yeah. Something is going to trigger. And I'm just saying this from experience. I've had some experiences as at that age, and somewhere down the line, you're like, I remember, and you question. Mm-hmm. Now, if the people will tell the truth, is something different, because there's people that was, I think we even read a book like that one. No, that's not true. You didn't remember that. That's false. And you're like, yeah, kind of vivid, but yeah.
Such a good book, so much. And I know we talked a long time and we didn't even cover the audiobook narrator yet.
I know I just looked at the time and I'm like, damn.
We went a long time on this book, guys. So what I think I'd like to do is really quickly, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the narrator and we're going to give our book rating. So stay right there. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by the Shelf Addiction merch store. Check out all the bookish t-shirts, notebooks, mugs, and more. Don't miss out on these original designs, perfect for any book nerd. Support the podcast and visit shelfaddiction.com/merch and pick up your next favorite bookish item. We are back, and let's talk a little bit about Kirsten Potter. Excuse me. Did I say Kristen before? Oh, I hope not, because it's Kirsten. I'm sorry, Kirsten Potter. I might try to go back and edit. We'll see what happens. But anyway, she was one of the narrators on the last audiobook that we listened to. And while her voice didn't sound familiar to me when I was looking up the information, I was like, her name. I'm like, wait, I just saw that name. Literally, I just saw that name.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So I don't know which one she was in the other book. I don't remember.
Okay. There was one point where I can't remember, but the voice did sound familiar. And I'm like, God, this sound, and it never, when you listen to enough audiobooks, you always try to go back and say, where do I know this voice from? But I never did check hers. So I liked Kirsten, excuse me, loved her. She did a great job. I have no issues with her. Male voices, I knew the transition. I knew when she was in, what character she was playing. Bravo.
Yeah, I have absolutely no issues whatsoever. I enjoyed it. It was easy for me to just be sucked into the story, even though I do think just by me reading some of these quotes, and it didn't dawn on me while I was listening, but this was told in third person, wasn't it? The whole book was third person.
Yeah.
Like omniscient. Wow. So it seemed like it wasn't, but it was. Every single one of these quotes that I looked at, it's third person.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I wonder how this came off. She did a great job. Gosh.
She did.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Great job.
Of course, and always with Macmillan, great audio quality, no issues. I recommend the audiobook, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, I do too.
So, Classy, what did you rate Little Secrets?
I rated it a 4.
Okay. Me too.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good book. It wasn't like, oh my God. But I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed her writing. I love the way that, the suspense, the thriller that she weaved. And as we talked, she was very good with, distinct, keeping us aloof that JR and Sal were 2 different people.
Mm-hmm.
And that secret of where was Sebastian and who knew where Sebastian was, I enjoyed it. I liked her writing. And I liked the story.
Yeah, same here. I said, I rated 4 stars as well. Other than me being caught up on some of the timing, I mean, I didn't really have any issues outside of that, but it just kind of nitpicked at me. I'm kind of like, I don't understand. Outside of that. Right. So, I mean, but outside of that, it was good. And like I said, I do think it's a really fun read for a book club. And this wasn't too dark. Even though it was a kidnapping, there wasn't like a lot of really horrible things going on, like some of the books we've read recently. So, and the kid, while he was kidnapped, which is horrible, he was taken good care of.
Yeah, I mean, he was treated well. Yeah. I would read another book by him.
Yeah.
I've marked some of her other books.
It had that thriller vibe, but it didn't have any of the over-the-top, grotesque kind of stuff that kind of creeps people out.
Yeah. No triggers besides kidnapping.
Yeah. So, definitely recommend. So I think because we've been on for so long, we're just going to end things there.
Sounds good.
I do want to let you know, if you are curious to see who we have cast for our movie fantasy casting, definitely come on over to Patreon and listen to the after show, because we are going to reveal all over there, and it's available right now.
Come on over.
Yes, join us over there. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, guys. If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcast and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.